Oh my goodness, friends. Welcome to the very first episode of 2024. I'm so happy you're here. I know I'm a big dork. I love New Year's. I love the fresh start. I'm super excited to hop in with all of you. And I hope you're having a great start to the year. If you're listening to this when it comes out, like hopefully we're still right on top, starting the year strong. Uh, I do want to remind you quickly before I get into the 5 tips for getting back on track after the holidays, which we're going to hop into. I just want to remind you that I, if you listen back or if you're interested in listening back, I'm not going to go through all the options here. But the December 15th episode that aired, I laid out all of the program options that are up and coming in this year now and have already started. We're already kicking off the Chasing Greatness group workouts. We're already into our sugar detox and all that. This will probably come up a little bit in this episode, but I have early bird pricing for that. That's our monthly workout group. It's only available till January 15th. So I just want to remind you of that. And then for the 8-week fat loss challenge, the Simple Sustainable Fat Loss program that kicks off January 15th. So I only run this 3 times a year. If you're on the fence, you're going to have to wait several months before the option rolls around again. So you can head to my website, healthycatholicmoms.com, under the Work With Me tab or right from the homepage. You can check out those options just because they do have a time limit on them. So I'm not going to talk about them all the time, but you've got just a little bit. January 15th actually is kind of the cutoff for both. That's the early bird pricing cutoff for the Chasing Greatness group. And that's when the challenge actually starts. So I'm hoping to close the challenge by January 8th, the 8-week program. All right. So holidays have happened. They were hopefully holly and jolly, and I'm sure a little crazy and a little exhausting and all of that. Because if you're listening to this, you're probably a mom who is making most of the holiday fun happen, not discounting dad's role in that too, I'm sure, and hope that all of your spouses were wonderful in that. But it's not in my house. It's not my husband waking up early to make cinnamon rolls or wrap the gifts or anything. It's like totally that meme that's like, oh, like what did we get them? There's, lots of things floating around about that. Like the dads are just a surprise on Christmas and it's all good. Like I love how it all goes down. It's, probably takes a little bit though. It's a little decompression time after. So health and fitness wise, where do we go from here? I've done some episodes in the past that might interest you too about how to get back on track after going off the rails and things like that. But for most of us, hopefully that wasn't you and that wasn't like totally off the rails, but it's just a season of indulgence. It's been a little bit of a nonstop. That's kind of the nature of the beast for some of us, from Halloween to New Year's or from Thanksgiving to Christmas or whatever. It's just a time that's a little bit more indulgent. And I've talked about this before that I think that's totally fine. There is a season for everything. And there was a season to be indulgent. That's great. And now there's a season to rein it in so that doesn't become our norm. So that indulgence isn't just our new regular. Like that's exactly how I feel about treats. Like for them to be called a treat, it has to be once in a while. It has to be special. If treats are every day, it's not a treat anymore. And that's what I tell my kids too. It's just how it is. So sitting in a squeaky chair. So I apologize if I'm squeaking at you today. All right. So 5 tips for getting back on track now, which again, I think we're all just really feeling the need for, is number 1, to meal plan for the week. I did not say month. I did not say make everything from scratch. Just get a plan together for what the heck you're going to eat for the next like 5 to 7 days. This could look like jotting it down in a notes app on your phone, jotting it on a piece of scrap paper or on a meal board if you have one, or your planner or whatever. Just think about what you're going to eat the next couple days. Now, I'm like emphasizing the think about it because we just came off that week that is notoriously like, I don't know what's going on between Christmas and New Year's, where, we're just eating leftovers. We might be still getting together with family and friends, so we don't know what we're going to eat. Might be filling the gaps with takeout when people are, off more or whatever, off work. So just get back to the planning. Like, hey, Wednesday, I'm going to make this kind of soup. Thursday, I'm going to grab a rotisserie chicken and some, whatever frozen veggie fried rice, and I'm going to throw something together with that. Friday, I'm going to do shrimp or whatever it looks like for you. Just have a plan. Get back to usually, again, the big thing about the holidays and why a lot of us get a little derailed is it's just super loosey goosey and like in the moment and up in the air. So getting back to a little bit of a routine entails having a plan for that routine. Okay. So again, I know you're probably still getting your feet under you and getting organized, and you might have like hopped right back into work or kids going back to school or whatever it looks like. Everybody's different, trying to get homeschool going again, wherever you're at. Don't make the big barrier to entry be that you feel like you need to make everything from scratch. Just have a plan, even if you're picking up all of the pieces a la carte there with rotisserie chicken and easy bailout foods, that kind of stuff. Just get a healthy plan going. All right. Tip number 2 is to take a daily 10-minute walk. Now, I didn't even say anything about strength training on this list. And I'm all about and love strength training, recommend it, all the things. But this tends to be a time where we are just super busy. We are also usually a little bit more sedentary, which is interesting. You might not feel like that, but a lot of the quote unquote busy tasks aren't really active. They're busy, but not active, like sitting and wrapping a ton of gifts and things like that. Yes, running around shopping. And maybe if you're running around baking, like you might be getting a lot of movement in. But in general, our movement tends to go down in these weeks. It tends to be a lot more sitting. So just getting movement in. And the reason I said 10 minutes is because it's doable for most of us. I know days are shorter and light is a problem, but if you can just walk around your driveway, I'm the queen of driveway walks. When my kids are napping and I can't go anywhere and my husband's at work, I will walk around my driveway for 10 minutes. And that would be really tough to do for like an hour, but I can do that for 10 minutes. Is just walk up and down my driveway, walk around your yard if you can, whatever. Do it with your kids, do it solo. I also put this on here over strength training because of the mental benefits of getting outside. Ideally, if you have a walking pad or treadmill, that can work in a pinch too. But I recommend getting outside, touching back in with nature, even if it's freezing. 10 minutes is doable. Ideally, getting your face in the sun and getting moving again. All right. Tip number 3 is to cut back on the drinking. The drinking has ramped up. Now, we're all in different places because some of you listening to this may be like, I don't even drink that much, or I'm pregnant, or whatever. But holidays definitely tend to be the time of just more frequent indulgence in alcohol and whatnot. And, at the time of recording this, I am pregnant, but I will not be by the time it's at least Christmas and New Year's. So the other holidays are up in the air, but I don't think I'm going to really be hitting the bottle too hard post pregnancy, right in the early days of nursing. But some years where I've not been pregnant at this time and very freshly postpartum at this time, I have felt that need in January to be like, "Ooh, okay, I need to it's becoming, not usually my husband and everybody's different, but my husband and I usually are like a Saturday, Sunday, or maybe Friday, Saturday. It's usually like 2 weekend nights and sometimes a drink during the week. We're doing our Theology on Tap. That's kind of subsided for a bit, but we would watch right now it was the Poco a Poco podcast on YouTube. Shout out to those amazing Franciscan friars. And we would have a drink like midweek together on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night or something, whatever our schedule allowed that week. We'd pre-plan it. So we'd have like one drink during the week and then 1 or 2 nights on the weekend. Now, like I said, in previous years, this has slid into holiday time being like, well, it's Christmas Eve. Well, it's Christmas Day. Well, you're off because it's that weird week and no one knows what day or time it is. And like, oh, now it's New Year's Eve and now it's New Year's Day. Like it just has turned into like 4 days of the week or 5 days of the week. That happens to us a lot. And that's when we dial it back in to be like, again, do what you want to do. And I'm not a medical professional. I'm not trying to give you medical advice. It is just known that alcohol is not doing anything positive for you. So in the health way, it's beneficial to cut back to just not as frequently. So if that's been you, start just backing that up a bit, scaling that back a bit. All right. Tip number 4, last 2. Number 4 is to boost your immunity with greens, supplements, etc. So I was going to put on here just one of my standbys. And if you've been here forever, you know it. Get in your 3 to 5 servings of vegetables daily and ideally from leafy greens. But I specifically want to tailor this to focusing on boosting your immunity, because this does tend to be such a time of sickness. A lot to do with the fact of everything else we've just talked about. You're off your routine. You're usually not eating as healthily as you normally do. You might be drinking more. So this tends to be a time of high inflammation for us. Think about that. If you're having wine 4 days a week and you don't usually, you're also having some sugary desserts or fattening foods or things you're not used to, and you're being a little more sedentary. This is just the recipe for your immune system to really plummet. And then if you do encounter something, to have a tougher time fighting illness. So we want to focus on getting back. And I like to frame it in this positive way. We're not saying cut this out, don't do this. I did just say cut back on drinking. But how I want you to think of all of it is like, no, we need to get back to prepping ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves we can be. So we want to prep ourselves to be the healthiest we can be. That means to be at our peak, that if we do encounter germs, like we're quick to fight it off. We're not as apt to get super down and out. So that might look like taking supplements too. I do take vitamin C throughout these like cold and flu kind of months. Take vitamin D as well. Maybe I'll do an episode on what I take, because I don't take those through the summertime, but just focusing on, and then I strive to get the 3 to 5 servings of leafy greens in daily. And if I don't, I supplement with a greens powder. So I mentioned supplements on the two. So we just want to get the inflammation down and get back to or enhance our immunity. Okay. Last one, again, not exactly, you might think directly health and fitness, but we always talk about overall health here and how one aspect of health affects another aspect. Our spiritual affects our mental, affects our physical, etc. And the last tip is to declutter your physical clutter. And I put / do a brain dump, which I hate saying because I hate the phrase brain dump sounds vulgar, but I can't think of a better way to say it. So this also tends to be a time where we have a lot going around in our head, like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I have to, life comes back hard and fast after the holidays, and whatever pause everyone's been taking at their jobs, like, yes, we'll touch back to this January 2nd, well, now it's like all guns blazing, and it can be really overwhelming. Plus, you have like wrapping paper around still from Christmas that like from wrapping last minute gifts that you shoved in a closet. And if you've got little kids, you've got new toys that have come in, but you still had old ones because you didn't quite declutter before. And you've just got weird piles of stuff, maybe thank you notes. Like, it's a lot. And then you're thinking mentally of all these things you have to do and whatnot. So take some time, put it on your calendar, take a deep breath. First of all, like, let your shoulders come down away from your ears. And I would actually start with the brain dump piece. If I just get out a piece of paper and I literally write everything I'm thinking of, like, hey, I need to order some birthday gifts for February. Hey, I need to thank so-and-so for sending that thing in the mail that I never acknowledged. Hey, this, that, whatever. Getting it all out so it's out of your head and it's somewhere to go. And then making a little plan for, or a strategy for, or whatever works, or taking a day, however you need to do it, to get rid of physical clutter, because physical clutter causes us so much stress that anything else we talk about here is going to be really difficult to implement when we already feel like we're drowning. If you think you're going to start getting back on, maybe over the holidays, you weren't exercising a lot. Now you're like, all right, I'm going to start doing 5 a week with the Chasing Greatness group, or I'm going to do, I'm going to do this challenge coming up soon, the 8-week program. So I'm going to start doing that. But then when you go to work out, you're like moving piles of laundry, or you never find the time to work out because you don't ever know what you're doing. That's a little more systems, I guess. If you don't know, that's how I used to feel. And I have a lot of episodes about systems. You don't need motivation. You need systems and cleaning routines and those kinds of things. Because I used to feel like that. Like when the baby went down for a nap, I remember with my first kid, like, okay, what do I do now? Like, should I clean? Should I nap? Should I work out? Like, all panicky. And if you have a system, you know when and what to do, really, because you're like, well, Thursdays I clean, Tuesdays I do this, or whatever that looks like. So I cannot recommend enough just getting rid of the mental and physical clutter so that you are setting yourself up for success the best way you can this year. Next week, nope, not next week. That was next episode, we're going to talk about how to get more out of your workouts, see results faster, all that good stuff. So hop in for that. Actually, let me double check that. I think I might have told you a lie as I said that. No, it is. True story. All right. 3 tips. I need to do that brain dump, guys. It's getting a little foggy up there. All right. So I will see you and talk to you then. In the meantime, I hope these tips were super helpful and that you start feeling like you can breathe a little bit, getting back into routine. All right. I'll talk to you next time. Have a great rest of your day.